Hello, everyone. So today we got to play Mysterium.
Mysterium.
It's very mysterious.
So Mysterium is a up to 7-player game. So we often pull it out when we have bigger groups. And it is a deduction art interpretation.
It is co-op game where one person is a ghost who was murdered, a victim, and the rest of the people are mediums who are being invited to a seance to try to solve the crime.
You might be medium, I'm more heavy.
Okay. So that is over concept. Who made this?
Forgive me in the beginning. So these are some Polish names here. So designer is Aleksander Nevsky, Oleg Sidorenko are the designers. Artist is Igor Burlikov, Xavier Collette, I think I got that one. And then Alexander Nevsky and Oleg Sidorenko.
I hope that's the only one you missed out of the bunch.
I
That would be
hope
amazing.
The board game rating is 7.3. The MSRP for the base game is $54.99, and we have included 2 expansions, Secrets and Lies and Hidden Signs, and they both MSRP at $23.
Yeah, and several promos.
But I didn't look up the promos, but they're not big box expansions, but they still added quite a few cards. They're $23.33 piece.
Yeah. So let's talk about quality of pieces. So this game, you end up with a cardboard round timer. You get an actual timer, and then a cardboard player score marker. Score very loose in this game.
And a lot of cards.
And a lot of cards.
Yes.
Oh, and the screen. And the ghost screen.
The screen is really cool.
Yes,
yeah.
This is what the ghost hides behind. And it has places, I can conjure an image of it.
Why? It's right here.
Yeah, but it's going to be harder to see here, or I can get a close-up with my mystical powers because we're conjuring it from the beyond.
That's what ghosts do.
It's going to
It
show
just
up.
appeared out of nowhere.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, if you could get it to float, that'd be
Awesome,
awesome.
yes.
Now you're just pressing your luck. I don't know how to do that kind of stuff.
It's not you, it's magic.
That's right. Supernatural.
All right.
That explains a lot. That
So-
applies to housework and things just magically happen.
Not in my place.
The ghost screen is really amazing. There's cards that fit in it that represent the suspects, the rooms, and depending on which version you're playing, the items or the motives that are associated with each medium that's being channeled. And then there are cards that match them that are larger in size, which I can also conjure, but these cards are beautiful. They are really well done. The cards in our case are really getting worn because we play this a lot, and I didn't have sleeves for it because there's so many of them. It doesn't fit in the box now. I can't imagine if I sleeved them how big of a box I would need. This is about half the stack of those. It's not all of them.
No, it's not. Not even half. It's like not even a third.
But there's
So many
a
cards.
ton of
So many
cards.
cards.
And then those are actually, these I held up the wrong thing. Those are the ones that the ghost uses. The actual ones for the suspects. Those are,
We're paying extra for sound effects.
no, I provide those for free. You get what you pay for. So they have beautiful art as well, but the idea is that the ghost, well, we can get to the gameplay in a little bit, but the card stock is really pretty good. It has no texture, they're
Right.
pretty smooth.
Well, I mean, they're kind of thin, though.
They are a little thin, but I mean,
But you can't take away from the art, which,
Yeah.
we'll go into theme, but
Yeah.
you really...
Remember, this is about quality pieces,
quality-
not theme.
okay, they are pretty thin as far as card stock goes, and I probably should have sleeved them, but I bought so many copies of this game.
And did they have that size of card sleeve available when this came out?
Yeah, I think this is the same size as Seven Wonders. It's kind of an optical illusion because they look big. Well, they might be bigger. I don't know. I have to compare them.
Yeah.
But I thought they were tarot size. So
I feel like they would be tarot size.
Let's talk about the player tokens, though. I guess I'll conjure this.
No, only Randy can conjure.
He's my son. He has a little.
I have a little.
He's got junior conjuring power. So they are beautiful.
You think so?
I like those little.
I like them, but I don't think they're beautiful.
You don't get crystal balls like that.
Yeah,
because they're not crystal.
So I have seen.
They're plastic.
I break the illusion, man.
So I've seen it where people have painted the bottoms to look,
and they look even more amazing.
They look amazing, and I tried to convince Randy to let me do that, but he said if I ruined them, then
I would buy another copy.
And we need more games.
I'm probably getting to the point where I'll probably have to buy another copy of this anyway because the cards are getting pretty worn.
Really?
Yeah. So go ahead and paint away.
No, because it will literally give him the excuse he wants.
But I really want you to do it because I like how they look. And then we've also got the solid color ones which are the promo ones that I picked up.
See, I think they would look cooler if that was actually a crystal ball and the base represented the player.
Well, if you paint it, it's going to look more like a crystal than when the base doesn't look the same.
Yeah. Anyway, so who knows? I might do it.
Yeah.
And
they might look amazing.
And I will post a picture.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he doesn't get a new copy because they look great.
Yeah, exactly.
But the cards look worn. I mean, you can't have those worn cards next to the beautiful.
No, you can't get all the promos it's hard to get those promos.
Well, I've got an extra set of one of them.
You can still get sleeves.
All right, we are getting distracted. Number for quality.
I'd give it a 7.
I'm okay with 7.
I think it's better than that. You get, those.
You're saying pieces, you're having to replace the cards.
I understand the cards, but the board for the ghost is amazing.
Remember,
those
not
pieces,
art.
I'm not talking about the art. I'm talking about the design of that board is amazing.
The board is amazing.
Those crystal balls are really cool.
Okay.
The clock is actually pretty cool, even though it is getting a little.
That's where I differ. I think the crystal balls are okay. I mean, I'm not getting all happy-go-lucky about them like you are. The clock. It's okay. It's cool, but I don't like the fact that it could fall off so easily off the stand. I wish it could be a little bit more secure in its base. And then
I wish it could be a little more secure in your base too.
I wish I could too. So then maybe I could afford to sleeve all these cards or something. It's so broke. But I do agree. The ghost board is awesome. That's why I'm giving it a 7.
All right.
So
I'm giving it an 8.
Okay. What would you give it? You're giving it a 7.
I'm giving it a 7.
I gave it a 7 too.
All right.
So I'm the odd man out.
Yeah. So let's talk about theme. The theme for this
is where it excels.
I mean, the whole median, the cards, it's integral part of the gameplay, right?
Uh-huh.
Like you can't disentangle theme from gameplay at this point because you're literally having crazy dreams or crazy visions and you're trying to decipher what they mean and you honestly have no clue.
I mean, like in all the games I've played, I think this is probably one of the best thematic games ever made because it integrates with gameplay so perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you cannot pull the theme out of this game. It's impossible.
Nope.
Yeah, and given the fact that I love mysteries to begin with and that this is just falls right into it's not horror, it's not like gore and macabre. It's like Twilight Zone-y. That's and it's mystery and it's everything about this. This is a perfect Halloween game. It's beautiful.
And I will say the art is top notch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There is not a single ugly card in this deck.
Well,
I have not seen
even
one.
though some of the card art, some of the cards I don't like as much, it still fits though.
Yeah.
I mean, it still works, even though it may not be as beautiful as some of the other cards.
But the thing is the art's still good. Even sometimes things aren't meant to be beautiful,
right?
And it captures
It's like the bad art's more nightmarish almost, versus just bad dream or an okay dream. So I think it all works.
If you've played Dixit, this is the same art from the Dixit game, but Dixit. This incorporates the gameplay so much better, which we'll get to. Yeah. But you can actually use the Dixit cards with this game if you wanted to. You could pull the Dixit cards and incorporate them right in. There's no reason you couldn't.
Other than the card backs.
Well, yeah, but who cares about the back on those? The ghost is using them.
Yeah. So Give it a score.
I think. Well, Alex, what you got any comments on theme?
Nothing that has not been like brought up. Honestly, like the artwork is amazing. Every single card has something unique to like it's unique to there's almost stories that are being told with each card, and I really appreciate that about it.
It's trippy. There's some trippy art in it.
Yeah,
so
but it's fantastic.
It's a 10 for me.
I think it's a 10. This game for theme, you can't do any better.
You really can't.
Can I give it an 11?
Sure.
I just want to get different than you guys.
What Sarah would be a high 10.
Yeah, you're a high 10.
I'm a high 11 because I want to be different from everyone.
Or you just.
I love this. The art is it's just so appealing in this game, and everything about this strikes the right chords with me. It is absolutely the perfect theme for a game.
Yeah, we play this game so much, and yet sometimes I get cards and I still find new stuff in the card.
Yeah, because there's so many of them.
And there's so much going on that you'll miss things. Like, hey, I didn't realize that was actually a flower, not a light bulb.
Well, it's just the fact that it's art. I mean, the amount of work that they had to go into to make art. It's not just game pieces. It's just not game cards. Every single card is a piece of artwork.
It truly is.
I would love to have some framed art of
absolutely.
some of these cards.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I assume you would be a 10?
It is most definitely a 10.
A high 10 or a low 10?
The highest 10.
Absolutely. I really would buy some of this art.
I would.
There's some Alice theme that I knew you'd buy, the rabbit hole one. And then there's another.
There's the caterpillar on the mushroom.
Yeah. So moving on to rules. We haven't read the rules in a while.
Well, the rules, the only thing you need them for pretty much after you've read it, because it's a pretty simple game to play once you learn it, is to reference for the number of players and the difficulty level what card count is.
Yeah.
And how many ravens you use. Because that's really the only thing for setup you need this book for. After that, you put the book away, you never use it again. Assuming you've learned to play. I mean, once you get to learn to play, it takes a little bit. But
see, I was going to say I don't remember reading the rule book that much because I used to own the game, but I actually sold it because I had no one other than coming here would play it. It literally sit on my shelf and never played it. I never played my copy, and I got frustrated with sucking up space. And if I knew I was going to play, I'd just come over here and play your copy. So I got rid of it just to make up a little space. But I do remember trying to read it, and I had a hard time trying to figure out how to be the ghost. Being a player was nothing.
Well,
but
was it the rules of being the ghost or the strategy of being the ghost?
Not the strategy. It's setting up who did what and getting the cards set up and knowing how. And then at the end of the game, figuring out.
Yeah, one of the things that we've been asked about talking about is setup, and I will say this one is a beast to set up.
It is. It takes a while.
You've got to get a lot of cards out. You got to get them all mixed up, shuffled, put into place, and put them all back. And then the box isn't designed to hold all the expansions, which I've crammed into it. So trying to get them back into the box is a chore. It's not as big as some of the games we've played, but this one it's definitely something. One, it's a table hog. It's going to take up a lot of space on your table. Make sure you've got a big table. This table we're at now is not where we would play this game.
Right.
We barely fit it onto the dining room table. It's really ideal for our pool table downstairs, but
and it also depends on how many players you have. I mean, if you're playing with 4, you could get away with the dining room table, but if you're playing with
full 7,
forget it.
Add the leaves to your table, okay? Like you got some, add them in.
Glue some additional leaves in.
Because this game does take a lot of space because everyone's looking at the different art, and then you're handing it.
And
to
we're helping
everyone.
each other.
Yeah, I mean that is something that rules. Let's give it a score.
So what did you give it?
I think it's an 8. It's very pretty. It's got theme. It's got characters in there explaining these mediums who they are. So if you want to play like on this role, you've got like newspapers about the murder crime and all this, and then the story, the characters. You've got all of the art for like laid out how to display and set it up. It's really nicely done. Gameplay, clear explanation sections. You don't need a cheat sheet in this. You really don't. It's
No.
that simple. Once you learn it, it's not
Because
complicated.
there's no
at all.
iconography to try and understand.
Yeah.
And
I will say
The
way
card's enough. You're just trying to figure out what the card, what the
Yeah.
ghost is trying to tell you with the card. There's a frog.
yeah.
Is it because it's great? I don't know.
I will say that when you're teaching this, well, the way we typically teach new people this game is there's basically 2 games in one, because you play a game to try to solve who the suspects are, the rooms that are associated with each medium, and the item or motive, depending on which way you play. And then once everyone's got all that, then it's another game that takes place in essence, where you try to figure out which combination of room, person, and item is the actual killer. And so we always explain the first half of the game, play it, and then if everybody gets through to this end, then we explain the last half. And we find that's the easiest way to teach this
Yeah,
game.
because there's no point in trying to tell people stuff at the end of the game that
Yeah,
doesn't
'cause
even
it's a
matter.
totally-
It doesn't even matter.
It's
to
a
the end of
totally
the game.
different playing style, and it's like, why teach it if you're not going to get to it, and it complicates life,
Right.
that people understanding it. So just teach the basic, get through each one, and it's a co-op game, which is nice for new people because
Yeah, because you can talk amongst each other and
Yeah.
help figure out what your clues may mean, because you don't know what you're looking for when you're looking at these
Right.
cards.
Uh-huh.
So you've never seen them before.
So yeah, I think an 8 is probably a fair score for this rule book.
Okay, I believe you.
I think, again, it's been so long since I read it, I can't argue against an 8. So
Yeah, I can't argue against it either.
Yeah.
I've really read it.
Yeah. So moving on to gameplay, when you've already kind of touched base a little bit of the gameplay, there is a ghost. Now the ghost is the most complicated person who's playing. So typically you want somebody that already knows how to play playing the
And
ghost.
there's one key thing about the ghost.
It can't talk.
He can't talk.
You're not supposed to give facial expressions.
Nothing.
You're not supposed to show frustration, which is hard to do sometimes. in
Which
this
Randy
game.
still does, and he always plays the ghost, but he's like, he gets the wrong cards, like,
Yeah, he does.
like
But
that.
I try not to do it in a way that gives clues to people. I get frustrated with the fact that I don't have any cards to give.
Yeah.
I try not to give hints that.
But you should do this where they can't see it.
Yeah. So do keep that in mind. That is the most complicated.
It is.
But as far as being a player, it's fairly straightforward. You get a couple of cards. You're trying to figure out what those a card or a couple of cards, depending on how many the ghost gives you, and you're trying to determine how that matches
What you have available.
what
for
you
your
have
options.
available. And it gets easier because as people get things correct, those options are removed, so you get less and less. So it's almost like a catch-up mechanism for those that are behind, because some choices get taken away as people figure out who and what they are. And that really starts limiting that. So that's kind of a good thing. And that's what you do. You do it 3 different times with 3 different, you do person, place, and then used to be a thing, but now Randy likes to play with the motive. So one of the expansions, it adds more of like motive cards, and there are a lot more.
I think it's tougher than
It is
Yeah,
It's
but they're
tougher.
better art, and
Yeah.
the items only are very like one item sitting there, and you
Yeah.
can actually have a card that
And-
just
and-
has that item. So
And the thing that was weird is that you got these full-size cards for persons, you got the
Uh-huh.
full-size cards for the room, and then you got the itty-bitty little cards for the weapon.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
So,
like, why?
I was so happy when the motives came
Yeah.
out, because it was like that fixed
Yeah.
the one problem.
Yeah.
I saw
Now,
with
I
the
will
game.
say, for people starting or not familiar, they probably just want to do this.
Well, if you just buy the base game, you won't have a choice. That's
Yeah.
all you'll
Right.
have.
But I'm just saying that to start out with, that's what I would recommend. And because motive, I think, is harder.
Yeah, it's definitely
Um,
harder.
So just being aware of that going in, you do eventually want to get to just play with the motives, I do think. Yeah.
Now, what we didn't cover is when you get these cards, they're going to be very cryptic. The
Yeah.
art is beautiful, but the cards have very little to do, if anything, with the cards that you're trying to pick. So you're trying to find commonalities with the cards you give. So you might have a specific item in the card that is being referenced, but the person who gets them has no information on what that is. It could be the colors of it. It could be almost anything about the card, and they've got to, from the cards you give them, figure out how they relate.
It could be as vague as this picture is fuzzy, and that room has got some fuzzy pillows on it.
It could be the
It's-
lighting.
It could be the lighting. It could be the color. It
Yeah,
could
I
be
mean-
the stuff in it. It could be shapes. It could be anything.
So there's this one that has what the doctor one. I always think he's a doctor. no reason why he's a doctor except he has a top hat and a button-up coat when he's some type of animal. And Randy's always is like, why do you think that's always the doctor? Because I don't know.
It looks like an old doctor.
And there's no reason or madness. And so sometimes you just get cards that, like, there's this one card that's a lake with some boats in it, and that has some ladders, but it looks like an egg yolk. Okay? And I always think it's an egg. I don't care.
I think it's an egg too.
I don't care that it has some ladders on it. I don't see ladders. You hand it to me, I think it's going to be an egg. So, and just kind of.
What do you think?
Okay, so what I think is interesting about the gameplay is that it forces you, if you're a player, to understand the ghost, and if you're a ghost, it understands. It forces you to understand the player's points of view. So if you notice that a certain player notices certain things about the cards, you should try to give cards that kind of relate to that sort of point of view that they see the cards in. So, like, if they see objects in the cards, give them things that relate to the objects. If they see the colors,
and that's where it makes it tough for the ghost, because the ghost doesn't have a whole lot of control.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a handful of cards. He looks at them. Hopefully, he's got the right ones, and then he only has 3 chances to get rid of those.
That depends on difficulty.
The difficulty, true.
Yeah, I mean,
the
just
harder
the
you go,
medium,
the
you
less
get 3.
options.
On the hard, you get 1.
And so that's it. And then if you can't make it work,
yeah,
you're going to fail as a team.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and it really is about knowing, because I actually sometimes it's about the feeling of the card, right? And you can't describe a feeling like this room, right, is dark and gloomy, and there are dark and gloomy cards. And so you may get a dark and gloomy card, and they may not have it. One may be outside, but it's just that feeling of the card. And how do you describe that? So there's a lot of intuition on these cards that sometimes you have to figure out. Now, Randy over here, when he's the ghost, is very, very literal. Okay?
yeah, he's very practical. Like, if something's in there, it relates to the what's
Yeah,
not necessarily. I mean, like last time there was the judge card where the guy was in the courthouse,
and that's why it took us 3 tries to figure it out.
The only thing I could do is I had no cards. Most of them were outdoors cards, and there was nothing that really helped. So I had one with a book on it that was melting. I'm like, all right, well, that book, I'm throwing a book at him, so we're going to give him that. But, it's in general, I try to give something.
And that's what makes it hard, is because we're not used to you being like that. So when you start thinking out of the box like that, like,
what is this? I don't understand it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but for me, most people know I'm big into colors. So when I play the ghost,
yeah, I look at colors.
I'm big into color and big into the feeling of the card.
I do look at like the literal side of things, like there's a gravestone here, is there a gravestone there? But it's more of color and emotion.
Yeah. So in that aspect, it's very fun to do that interpretation.
And I will say, one of the things that's hard as a ghost to think about is not only when you're looking, you're seeing the cards that are associated with the suspects, but in addition, there's 2 or 3 additional ones that are sitting out there. So if you give clues to looking just at what you see behind the screen, you're not aware that there's already another one out there that might fit the card better, and so you're misdirecting them in that case. And it's like, oh crud, I didn't know that card was out there. And so you have to kind of look up and try to look around, see what's out there that you don't have. I mean, you can keep the small cards in front of you, and I do that sometimes to try to look at in addition to the suspects, but you're so busy looking at everything else, you don't think to look at them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on, particularly from the ghost side, that you have to do, and you have to do it in a way that is quiet and not communicating with the other people.
But I'll be honest, most of the time I enjoy playing the ghost more than I do the player. Me and we fight over who gets to be the ghost.
Honestly, as many times I've played it here, I've only played it with Randy as a ghost.
Really?
I
remember you telling me that, so I need to do that.
Just knock him down. It takes a while for him to get back up.
Well, see,
and so then you can be the ghost.
I'm old. I'm slow. It's only a matter of time before I am a ghost, really.
Please don't haunt me.
Oh, I'm definitely haunting you.
All right, let's give it a score. Alex?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Overall score.
Overall score, I'd give it a 9.
Okay.
I think I would give it a 9.
I think I'd give it a 9 too. This is a classic. It is brought often to our table. And it is a fantastic game. 9.
I have to give it a 10. there's nothing in this category that even competes. I mean, there's nothing like it. That's in order to get a 10 for me, it's got to meet those qualifications. It's Battlestar's a 10 for its category. This is a 10 for what it is. There's a party game where you get work together. I don't like co-op games in general. I love this game, and it's because of the theme, because the how it integrates people into it. And it's another one I've left behind at so many houses already.
Right.
I mean,
and it's got your other stat that you like so much. We talk about it afterward.
exactly.
We do.
If the game is memorable and it's also fun, quick to learn, there's more than one way to get memorable. You can be memorable for being really bad, like
right.
Redacted, or you can be memorable because it's an amazing game, an amazing experience. Not just an amazing game, but an amazing experience. Right. I think this is a 10, absolute 10.
Okay.
Well, this was in your top 10, wasn't it?
It absolutely was, and Denver will probably leave in my top 10.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had a great time tonight, and I hope you get to join us again. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and the subscribe button. Yeah, and the like button. Do all those things.
Comments.
Yeah, we like comments.
Yeah.
Yep, we love reading comments.
We do.
Talk
We
about
do.
how
always
handsome
respond.
I am. I love it. So.
Yeah. So, thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.